All right, fifth grade, we're going to be making some abstract art. Kind of started on mine already, but we're going to start by taping off some sections of our paper. So when I tape a section, I'm going to make sure that my tape can go all the way across and don't get attached to the tape. It's not stained. Then I'll tear or cut, and then I'm going to take the edges and wrap it around. What I'm doing is I'm sectioning off certain pieces of my paper so that anything under the tape stays white. So there's a couple of different sizes of tape that you can use. All you want to do is make sure you're not wasting it and get it to where it's making different sections. So think horizontal lines, vertical lines, and diagonal lines. All right, once I've taped up spaces, I'm going to use my watercolors to fill in those spaces. And we're gonna get to try some different things and kind of see some of the different things that watercolors can do. When you go to choose what colors you wanna put in a section, you wanna stick to colors that are analogous colors. Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So our watercolor palettes are divided by warm and cool colors anyways. So everything in here is analogous. These are analogous. But if I look at my color wheel, I also know that yellow, green, and blue are analogous colors too, even though they're in separate palettes. Same thing with red, purple, pink, blue. Those are next to each other. So look at your color wheel, but what you don't want to do is put two completely opposite colors like green and red in the same area, because those will turn brown. Your watercolors are going to flow and mix together. Obviously, we have to start with a wet brush. I think I'll go for this color first. Okay, so the more water I add, the lighter my picture is. The less water I add, if I got more paint, my paint's gonna be a lot darker. If you're getting your paper wet first, you can still get it pretty dark. You're just gonna wipe your brush on the sides there and come in and go straight for your paint so you can get a nice dark paint. And it makes something called a bloom, and it's beautiful, and it's really quite fun and entertaining to sit here and just touch and make a whole bunch of blooms. But it's all about having the right amount of paint to water ratio. So another thing that we can try and do with our watercolors is we're gonna have salt and a little rubbing alcohol, and we can see what happens there. So while my paper's still wet, if I take a little salt and sprinkle it across that section, the salt will react to the watercolors and it'll make a very interesting effect. I can do the same thing if I add a little rubbing alcohol. But I'm gonna dip a little in the rubbing alcohol and I'm just gonna let it drop onto my watercolors. It'll make these cool little bubbles. If you use the rubbing alcohol, please rinse it off your brush before you go back to the trays over here. So you can see we can do some pretty cool stuff with watercolors. I'm gonna go ahead and paint all my different sections using my analogous colors, and then we'll get to take the tape off. Okay, thank you.
What are you doing?